Inside action, innovate. The Master Series elevates.
In this session of the Master Series, Andrew Albertson, Gina Hoffmann, and Adam Hallbeck explored how health and life sciences organizations can evolve from traditional low-code development into a more advanced, agent-driven approach using vibe coding. They demonstrated how platforms like vibe.powerapps, combined with VS Code integrations, extend the builder experience, bridging the gap between makers and developers while enabling applications that can reason, orchestrate actions, and adapt using AI. The session also highlighted practical patterns for transforming existing Power Platform solutions into intelligent, agent-powered systems designed for regulated environments, showing how teams can move faster while maintaining governance, compliance, and control. Let's jump into it.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Really appreciate your time today. I think the three of us are very excited to show some of our Agentic app building experiences, both on the M365 Copilot side and the Power Platform side. And really what that means is we're going to be showing you the cool vibe coding pieces on both of those platforms. So those of you not familiar with vibe coding yet, that's just using natural language prompts, work with AI, actually go build the solutions for you, right? That's just a cool way to say that word salad that I just did. So our theme of today is going to be vibe coding on both of those platforms. And we're going to kind of try to tell a story from the perspective, of one of our kind of fake healthcare customers here, right? So we're going to pretend that we work for Northwind Hospitals, and we're going to use these tools at our disposal so that we can go from idea to enterprise solution very quickly using these vibe coding tools. So to start, right, we'll kind of have Gina kick us off here. She's going to be that kind of the one driving this use case, right? She comes up with the great idea. She's using the great tools and features on the M365 Copilot side to really design, configure, and get started on this onboarding application that we're going to work on as a team. So she's going to use, she's going to show some great stuff in M365 Copilot. I'll get ahead of her there. And then at that point, right, she's going to reach out to myself. We're going to play a maker on the Power Platform side, right? So Gina creates a great idea. She's then going to be coming to me to say, hey, I want to expand this outside of my team. I want to take this solution, this onboarding app solution, to an enterprise grade scale. So she's going to kick it over to the Power Platform so that we can start to build in there as well. And last but certainly not least, Adam will play some more of our kind of dev-friendly guy, right? We're going to kick to him when we need kind of the last piece of this puzzle, which might be the external-facing piece of our onboarding app solution. So without further ado, I will kick it over to Gina for her to kind of start off our storyline here.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew. Just want to make sure everybody can see my screen. Perfect. All right. So as we begin, as Andrew mentioned, I'm a business partner. I actually work in the business of a hospital, and my thought process is trying to improve our onboarding solution that we have today. But I actually had a conversation with someone at Microsoft, and they presented this to me, and I wanted to share it with you as well. And this is one of the aspects of how we're thinking about our AI council and bringing AI to our workforce to improve the business processes. So we're going to really start by thinking about, in the past, we had siloed data. And as a business, everybody wanted to have the data that they needed to do their work. But now we're really integrating that intelligence collectively. And we can use Microsoft 365 Copilot and WorkIQ to do that. So I'm going to show you some of those examples here. And we actually started with Copilot as an AI assistant, but now we have CoWork, which is an AI doer. So it can do things on my behalf, which is awesome. And so one of the things you're going to see is the evolution of my thought as far as improving our onboarding process to it just as a concept, and then iterating on that from a business analyst perspective all the way through to development and getting it done through the rest of the team's presentation. So I'm going to show you what I've done with just M365 Copilot. I have a license as a business end user, and I also want to start to use these agents that everyone keeps talking about, and specifically this agent called CoWork to be able to think about this process. But one of the things that I was informed of is this thing called Work IQ. And what's unique about M365 Copilot is Work IQ really does have that intelligence layer. It has the Microsoft Graph, all the collaboration and things that I'm doing with all of my business partners as well. And it can incorporate all that into the agentic work that I'm doing. And then I get to choose which model I want to use in order to get my work done. So this is a true platform which also has the security and management behind it. So I trust that the things that I'm doing in M365 Copilot stay within the Microsoft boundaries and are secure as well. So one of the things that I've been noticing in my business is that everybody has an AI tool in my team, and everybody wants to do it their way. But then when we want to actually collaborate via email or Teams or files and things like that, it always comes back to, well, it's in the Microsoft stack. So why don't we just use M365 Copilot, because it has all those inferences and information. And some of my peers who are not using M365 Copilot are like, wait, I don't have that information. I don't have that meeting information. I don't have that file information. So they're constantly having to go and fetch that and do it, as far as I'm concerned, the harder way. And so with my specific immediate team, we've kind of surrounded and said, you know what, collectively as a team, we're just going to use M365 Copilot to make our lives easier. And we're going to start to think about how we can improve our business processes. And in this case, it's how can we improve our onboarding process. And so one of the things that we're doing is looking more at what is in Work IQ in order to get our work done more effectively. And so how Work IQ works is it takes all the experiences that I have from emails, Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, etc., and it can pull in any extensibility that I may have. So any Copilot Studio agents or Foundry or GitHub information, and pull that in if I choose to do so. But what's amazing is what we have is called skills and tools. And specifically skills, I recently applied a skill to Copilot, and it learned how I wanted to do my updates for my team. And then every time I ask for an update for my team, it understands that skill because I taught it that skill personally for me. And of course, it has memory, which then allows me to remember the things that, or it remembers the things that I've asked it to do previously. And we've got these multi-model options that I have here too. So when I found out that CoWork was coming out, I was very excited, and mainly because it's grounded in that Work IQ that I've been using for some time. And then it is enterprise ready, right? I can know that Microsoft has everything governed as well, even though it is in a partnership with another subprocessor. And so
You're about to
from here, I just wanted to just pop up the differences between Copilot Chat and CoWork itself. So Copilot Chat really is that starting point for me to get my ideas out there and think about, well, even if I don't know what prompt to use for CoWork, I'm going to ask Copilot Chat first, and Copilot Chat will give me a beautiful prompt that's maybe pages long that now CoWork will understand. So this is what I'm going to demo for you in just 1 second. Just putting up here the Copilot CoWork architecture that I've been looking into as well. And know that all of this, the main components of what Copilot CoWork does is in the Microsoft boundary. And of course, it goes through all of the regulations that we have as well. So I'm confident that the work that I'm doing in Copilot CoWork is going to be absolutely amazing and also secure. So now I'm in my actual M365 Copilot license on my desktop here, and this is the full license. So this is not Copilot Chat. This is the full work license, because Work IQ works with your work content and therefore needs the full license. So what I did is I went to a new chat, and I, in my mind, just came out with a prompt that I'm asking just Copilot Chat. Hey, I'm going to be presenting to the rest of my team, and I want to be able to have a prompt to for CoWork in order for me to start to demonstrate the power of what it's capable of doing and helping us with our onboarding process. So Copilot went through the entire process of thinking about how that would go about. and then it actually created a beautiful, beautiful prompt. So what I did is I just took this prompt, and of course I can modify it because Copilot literally says, hey, here's some improvements that you can make to this prompt as well. But one of the things that I'm encouraging my team to do is to start with Copilot chat and think about, okay, just like spew out what's in your mind. What are you trying to do? And allow Copilot chat to reformat that for you in a way in which it knows that that Cowork and other Copilot chat prompts may understand better, right, in more detail. So from there, I went into Cowork, and I took that particular long prompt, and I, ran that already, but I took that long prompt and I put it into Cowork. And here it is. It ingested all of that information. So this is the Uber prompt, as I would say. And because this is a hospital, it has to be with the hospital constraints such as HIPAA and privacy training and EHR data and things like that. So it took all of this, this entire prompt, and then it went through its entire thought process from a Cowork perspective. Now, I remember back in the day when I was trying to think about improving business processes for my organization, we would be in conference rooms with stickies and workflows and diagramming and trying to think through how do we take this current business process and make it better. And literally within minutes, this business requirements actually completed within Copilot Cowork. And so it's taking and this is a demo tenant, so it's taking the roles, the different hierarchies and structures of my demo tenant and pulling in some examples. And ultimately, it came through and even created a storyline so that I could pitch this particular business requirements to my maker, as well as IT to potentially, integrate with our current systems as well. So it went through this entire process, and it even gave me the approval check-ins. And what I'd like to do is just show you how it actually created a diagram even. Just what is that workflow diagram and all the gates and all the processes that need to be followed, including an audit trail, which I actually love, and then a live dashboard, which I'll show you in a minute. Goes into the different swim lanes, the different roles and responsibilities, and the different systems that it would need to attach to in order to get the information. And then it comes into just each phase, each gate, the approval phases and whatnot. And so I'm just going to go a little bit faster because, as you can see, it's literally done the work of a business analyst, of what a business analyst would do in the past. And I even went and asked it afterwards to create a business requirements document, which I'm going to pass along to Andrew, and so that way he can use this as well. Now, one of the things I would note is that because this is amazing and the output is that is the HTML file, one of the things that I'd done is I actually took a screenshot of it as well, just to make sure I had everything I needed for my business, for my IT department. But this is an example of the first iteration, and I ran this 3 times just to see what kinds of ideas would Cowork come up with. And this was the first one. So this is a dashboard where we now can start to see end to end, where are we at least in my department, with the onboarding process? What's total hires, what's on track, what's blocked, and what's due. And then I actually ran it a second time, and this is a different view, and then I ran it a third time. And so as you see, as I'm rerunning the same prompt, it's getting actually better as far as not only the different departments, but now it actually added status so I can do click-throughs. And again, I remember working on Axure diagrams back in the day as a business analyst as well, and having to render all this and to create these views. And it literally did this within minutes, and it is just beautiful. The other thing that I wanted to show you is, as an example, is the business requirements document. So the output is also an actual BRD, a business requirements document that we can use, so that I can take that to Andrew, and he can better understand and implement what I've asked. Because again, these are, as we would say, either wireframes or examples, But in order to really make this production ready, obviously it needs to go to the next level. But just taking out the time to be able to get a full business requirements document at least started, and having RACI and having all the objectives and the flows is just remarkable. So I was so excited. I was just really excited for my team to be able to review this. We were able to edit it. And then the next step was to get this over to the IT team, so that way they can take a look at it, and the makers and implement this. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew, because I need a maker to actually make this happen, and he's just the guy to make it so. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Andrew.
All right, perfect. Yeah, and just like Gina said, right, she was able to go from idea to, tangible assets that she can start working on and or start handing off to the other team is a very powerful quick start method, right? And she can continue to iterate there, or we can start to continue to iterate on the Power App side, right? Because like Gina also said, this might have been working great for her team, maybe a smaller group, but now we want to take that solution that she's put that time into, and we want to put it somewhere where we can put more governance and security around it, right? Put more DLPs, put it in environments that we can control, make sure that it's when the users come to interact with these tools, they're in a nice, secure, and safe place inside the Microsoft ecosystem. So that's when, right, me as the maker, I'm used to building in Power Apps. So I'm going to go start to build my plan on the Power Apps side of the house. So I'm going to jump over to my demo environment here and talk a little bit about the options you have once you land here in make.powerapps.com. So as I land here, I'm actually going to go to my plans feature here, because not only do I want to start building a solution, but I want to take in all that good information that Gina's already presented to me. I want to use that as, something I can give the AI to start building the solutions out, right? So here in Power Apps, we kind of have two ways we can do that. The first one here on the left, create a plan, that's generally available now. That's going to help me exactly what it says, right? Put in my problem statements, outline my users, outline my processes, and it's actually going to make suggestions for the technology on the Power Platform that I can use. So Canvas apps, model-driven apps, Power Automates, agents, pages, all that good stuff. But this current version in its state now is focusing on those current assets that I just listed. Our new experience here, which actually is going to take us to vibe.powerapps.com, it's actually creating a new type of Power App on our behalf called Code Apps. And so just to highlight that real quick, I'm going to my apps list on Power Apps here. And as you can see, right, you've probably all heard of Canvas and model-driven apps, but now we have a new type called Code Apps. And that's what that new experience is in vibe.powerapps, is writing those code apps on our behalf. And that's really using React in the background, right? It's got a React underlying code base that's going to go write those apps in that language. So I'm going to demonstrate that one here today. I left some slides around this create a plan option. Like I said, it is generally available now, so you can go out and use that. They look and feel a little similar, but those outputs are very different. So let's open up Vibe here. And as you can see, I'm landing on a new screen. And once again, asking me, what do I want to get started and create? I'm going to come down here in the bottom left just to make sure I'm in the environment I want to be in. So that's how you can kind of go change the environment here to switch for the Vibe side of the house. And then I'm actually going to go pull up that BRD document that Gina was just talking about, right? This is the exact document that she had CoWork get up and running for her. So I'm actually going to shortcut this a little bit just to get me started. And I'm actually just going to highlight her executive summary, her scope, what's in scope, the assumptions, constraints, and dependencies. Obviously, there's a lot more in this document that's going to help us build the solution out, make sure we have everything in there already. But in order to kind of get us started here quickly, I'm just going to copy that top part and pop it in our generator here. So a couple points here. I also get a plan that I build along with this coding experience as well. So we'll see that as we start to jump in. And it's giving me the update that, hey, Work IQ is enabled here. So it can pull information from documents that I have available to me inside of the organization here, and as well as my ability to attach images for now. So I can add those details if I want to, just to give this this tool a way to kind of build out my solution with me. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. As you can see, it's taking that very large prompt and bringing it in here. And it's going to start to ask me a couple questions here to help it understand what the purpose of the application is I'm building. And hopefully this runs pretty quickly. I just want to run through the questions with you guys. I'm actually going to open up another one where I've done some of this already so that we actually don't have to wait and sit here and wait for it to get through all of its pieces. If this takes too long, I'll jump over to it. But okay, here we go. Right, so it's actually prompting back to me some clarifying questions so that it understands what we're actually building here, right? So who's my main audience for this app? All stakeholders, right? Is that everybody I want? Is it going to be my HR coordinators, hiring managers? For my purposes, and based on what I talked to Gina about, I think we're going to start with the HR coordinators. They're the ones that are going to see the quickest resolve here. But remember, this is an app that we can continue to iterate on, so we're not locked into these answers. So, okay, that's cool. My executive dashboard analysis, let's see, Kanban style. I can show charts, cycle time, deflection rates, all that's pretty great. I can also type in whatever it is I want to see here, right? For the sake of time, I'm just clicking some of these. Let's go with the pipeline view and approval gates. Remember, Gina had mentioned those approval statuses that needed to go through. Let's see, directly within the app. Or explain details. Yeah, I'm going to go with the review and approve. And my visual sign. So like, how do I want this to look and feel off rip? Once again, I can type out what I want that. I can have that prompt go in. For now, I'm just going to say a modern enterprise look and feel. So I'm going to submit those. The Vibe experience now is taking those responses in. It's running it against the prompt, and it's going to go build me this, really awesome looking app to start. Now, that's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to run usually, typically 5. I've seen it run a little longer just based on how intricate your prompt is. So for that, I'm actually just going to jump over to a tab where I've already run the same prompt. And we'll kind of highlight what we're going to see here in the Vibe side of the house. So as you can see, here's my big prompt that I started with up at the top. I can see the history of what I did here, right? Those are the questions it asked me for dashboard and entry and all that good stuff. It then created this plan for me based on my prompt, right? So I've got an overview. Here's my target audience. These are the pages that I'm going to build for you in the app. Here's the data model I'm going to build for you. And then some other key features and directions that the app needs to go in. I clicked implement that plan, and it was off and running and building that application. Let me just see if it's running in the, I want to show you. Oh, I need to hit submit. That's probably why that one didn't go. Right, so this is what it looks like when it's working. The reason I jumped back to this one, I just wanted to show you, you can actually watch it, right, as it's going through the code and building the pieces out. So that's the part that you can watch. We're not going to wait forever for that one to run. We're just going to kind of jump back over here because we kind of already have the finished product. So at the top here, I can click into plan, right? That's the same plan I saw over here on the left. It's just outlining what we both agreed we're going to go build. Next, I have the data model, and this is what's really important. I didn't create any of these fields, any of these relationships, any of these tables. Vibe.powerapps.com did based on that prompt I put in. I can come in here and change these. These tables are also available and back on my Power Apps screen, right? So I can go in there and make edits to them there. They'll still be available over here in our Vibe side of the house. So does a lot of the heavy lifting for you on tables, types of fields it thinks you need, and those relationships that you typically have to work on when you're building the application. And then, of course, last but not least, here's my actual code app that it built, right? It took a pretty awesome run at this app just based on the prompt I gave it before. It's highly functional, right? I've got different forms here. I've got different views. I can see my kind of test data in here already and what statuses they're in. It built the form per person, right? It's got activities. It's got tasks. It's done a lot of great stuff in here, but of course it's not perfect, right? No app is perfect on the first run. Like if I go back to my new hires, right, it's got it in a black theme here. As you can see, my drop down here is a little hard to see. So with that, I can just come over and say, new hires page, the all statuses. Drop down is hard to see. Can you make the font white. And this is the main point of Vibe, right? The Vibe experience in Power Apps. I'm no longer going into a Canvas or model-driven app to change the fonts, change the forms, change it. I'm just hitting it with more and more prompts here, right? And as you can see, it's going in, reading the files, understanding my intent, and then it's going and making changes directly in the application on the right. And as you can see, it got the fonts right. So that's where this experience and how we see, I think, development in Power Apps going in the future is these agentic tools that we're building into the maker and builder experience are getting so good that I'm just communicating with an agent over here on the left, and it's going and making the changes I want it to be done, right? I don't have to go in there and fiddle with every single thing. Now, with that said, I do have a code view, right? I can come in here and see the actual code that this agent is writing as part of this application, right? I can see it. I can actually copy it. I can send it to somebody else if they want to take a look at it, tell me what's wrong. But I can actually see what it's doing. I can see those in a side-by-side view. And if I go back to just my app experience, I also have inline edits that I can make. So if I want to change, the verbiage on active onboarding, of course, now it's not clicking in there. Come on now. I can make some changes here. I typically can change the name here. I'm not sure why it's not letting me click in there, but I can also ask the agent here to just change the name for me. So I can make inline edits that way. Once again, I've seen the best experience is just continuing to chat with the agent here on the left. So really awesome stuff there. And most importantly, this is all built in the context of your Power Platform environments, right? I'm still in that environment I started in. I still have the same security roles. When I go out to publish and I make those available to users or this app to users, it's still within that same context of our Power Platform governance, rules, regulations, security, all that good stuff. So that's Vibe here. Once again, I just keep iterating here, right? I can change colors. I can totally blow away what it created. I can come in. I can look at the plan. I can also bring Gina into this experience, right? She had all that great work done on CoWork. Let's have her come in and start iterating on the app with me as well. So really great stuff there. And just, what I want to reiterate there is it's just creating a code app on my behalf, right? So I have an app here. I can go put that in a solution. I can put Power Automates around that. I can put a Copilot Studio agent in there as well. I've got a lot of options because it's just creating that code app for me. So now we're at the point of the story, right, where I have created this great application. Me and Gina have started some great work, but realizing the limits of my technical depth, right? I'm a maker on Power Platform. I have to do a lot of great things there, but I've never really built a Power Page and not so technical on the web development side. But I know Adam on my team is great at that. So I'm going to go loop him into this onboarding project, and he can kind of pick up these Power Platform pieces and continue this Vibe coding journey. So I'll hand this over to Adam, where he's going to help us build that external facing piece. So my external, the people that are actually onboarding have a place to go and not just an internal app for the HR coordinators.
Perfect. Awesome stuff, Gina. Awesome stuff, Andrew. And while I am not a web developer, I am playing one on TV today. So, but I get to, I get to because of the tools that we have at our fingertips these days. When you look back at the last couple of years, not to get too philosophical or broad stroke about it, but we configure, forms and lists and queries. We're talking through a low-code lens here. So working with the traditional levers and Lego pieces to put these things together, we now have an armada of co-pilots and agents and intelligence underneath everything with all of the security that you're going to get via Entra, via managed identities, and with all of the RBAC controls that we've got floor to ceiling. So to me, this is an extraordinarily compelling story. Gina started with work IQ driven design. That's using our organizational data, our artifacts, what's most important to our business to set the frame and deliver artifacts that hone and guide compelling solution design and impactful projects. Then we took that informed analysis, those renders, and charged them up with Power Apps, leveraging Vibe and Code Apps to get to realization, to get to function, all without dropping into an IDE, VS Code, or whatever you use, or living in lines of code. using the no or low code vibe designer to customize something really special and compelling. Now we're taking the enterprise app, that data model, the plan that Andrew put together and those artifacts that he created, and hey, we're going to drop a portal on top where this is employee onboarding. And so we've got people that don't have managed identities just yet. They need to hit that portal. We need to interact with external parties. And as soon as they are onboarded and have a they still need a place to go. So with that comes new requirements around web design, and the underlying portal infrastructure does, carry with it some considerations. So we are going to be jumping into code, but don't let that freak you out, because we have a ton of help with native onboard Copilot experiences, Power Pages, that's the tool of choice in the low-code camp that we're going to be using today, Power Pages specific plugins and helpers, and a little Claude to help us along the way with GitHub Copilot. So I'm actually going to just set the stage just a little bit with some of what we're going to be looking at and talking now. Classic Microsoft slides, I get it, but I'm going to step through this real quick. So message here, we get to be more intelligent, we get to be more dynamic, we get to be more capable, just like you saw with both Gina and Andrew's vignettes there and actually getting hands-on and seeing this take shape. We're moving from the old paradigm to the new, and we're seeing that in action, and we're seeing just how powerful that can be to build those not just pleasant experiences, but secure experiences, and breaking beyond some of the limitations that we've historically seen with the no-code platform or the no or low-code toolset that we've got. But like I've mentioned, it's all riding on managed identities and securely in your tenant. And we've got the web roles, the security roles, the role-based access controls, down to the attribute level, all the way up from the tenant. So you have that confidence working with these tool sets, in the traditional sense when it comes to security. But we get to take that an extra step. We get to use not just, like I said, the onboard Copilot experiences, but something tailored to portal design, something that can help us explain code, can generate HTML and CSS for us. We're now, we're living in web. This is a portal, so it will be externally facing against a domain. And what's more is if you do have either the free version or enterprise version of GitHub Copilot, we can take that to the nth degree. So we can actually get into agentic, planned design, working with you in almost a code with sense, or going into full autopilot and taking care of some of this stuff. But this is really just kind of the stage setting. I want to go show. Like let's go and take a look at what we're going to go do here. So I'll start with the Power Pages home screen here. Now this is live, so let's cross those fingers. But no, if you want to ideate, quickly get a template, just the scaffolding in place, the skeleton of your portal in place. You definitely can use natural language to just describe your portal, describe your Power Pages portal here to get something off the ground. There are character limitations. This is pretty limited. You can start from blank or templates. I already have one that we're going to, and this is just based on some like dark mode template that was in the mix here. So I am going to go and click edit on this portal. Now this gets us into the back end. This gets us into the page designers. So if you're not familiar with Power Pages, all this stuff is built off of, a lot of it anyway, is built off of configuration data and then web roles, those security roles with table permissions. And so we have these different areas in the Maker portal here where we've got our main pages. This is just the template. So all I have really is a home and then a couple of grouped sub pages with, this is just placeholder content and some media and images. But we can go into theming and styling. We can pick ones that come off the shelf. We can upload custom themes should we want to. We can get into the data that's included. So employee onboarding, we'll have the employee, we'll have artifacts, we'll have new hire tasks, and the data model that you saw Andrew working with a little while ago. And then we've got security. So who's accessing and what. We have an agent on board that we can use to right-size security, run some proactive scans, set up some firewall, so really making that bedrock secure and ensuring that we've got the right security structure and design in place. So you have all of this on the left rail. But, this is pretty stale and pretty dry, and it definitely doesn't look anything like what Gina and Andrew were able to get off the ground. So if I'm a web developer, maybe I have one foot in the Power Platform low code camp. Maybe I've got the other in web design, and I actually have some technical capabilities and I do some code. Starting with essentially a blank canvas like this, sure, I can go into and start editing the text and getting into styling, the typography, the layouts, injecting any media, throwing any of these elements onto forms. The no-code experience for getting portals in place, an MVP portal, is great. Like, we can throw in our organizational data that we're working on collaboratively with external parties. We can embed Power BI elements and dashboards and reports. We can get a little fancy and throw some media into the mix. We can throw in intelligent search that's indexed and generatively creating dashboards and insights against your data. So you get a ton when it comes to the graphical configuration experience and the tools that you have afforded to you right through the maker here. But say I want to get into the code. I want to actually get into the lower levels and start to customize, because that's a comfort zone for me. Through the web portal here, you actually can, if you go to the top right, there's a button there, you got to click it. I clicked this. So we're going to edit code, and this is actually popping open VS Code Online. Now, here is the page. So it will automatically load a number of things for you. Right off the bat, it will route you, it will anchor you to the page that you were just on. It tells you a little bit on the right-hand side, hey, let Copilot, the Power Pages Copilot help you out. I'm going to tuck that away. But you can see that it automatically loaded my portal. So I've got all of my forms and entity lists, or the data, the views that we can see, all of my web pages and templates, and we've got all this is the portal. This is the portal that we see over on this side of the fence. Now, I do have it loads your Power Platform plugins. So I can jump into Copilot here. So if you didn't see that move, here's where the Explorer, all of the files and folders for that portal that was automatically downloaded. Here's where we have like Pack CLI and Power Platform capabilities. So that's where I'm going to drill in, and you can see that we've got a chat experience here. So right off the bat, if I'm just getting bearings, maybe I'm not super familiar with Power Pages, and I can do some code review here, but if this is pretty lengthy, I can just simply ask it, hey, please explain this page to me. It will give a quick, synthesized response on some of the, structure and the language and things that you see right in front of you. So I get a quick explanation. So, hey, Bootstrap was a 336, and first section does that. The following is an introduction. Subsequent sections are text blocks, and it's just placeholder stuff. So it's not going to be too interesting right now. But this is where I can start to, again, if you're not super familiar with the inner workings of Power Pages, what if I wanted to inject a custom chart? How might I do that? So you can get some of that guidance in line right in your EDE, and this is all online. You don't need a desktop application. You can hit that right from Power Pages. So I'm asking what to do when I want a custom data visualization in the mix. So it's going to, that looks like a little bit of liquid. Yep, I see that right up there. I can inject that right into the page. I can copy and work with that. So this is where, if I wanted to, you may add the following liquid code to inject a custom Dataverse chart into your Power Pages site. Sure, drop that in for me. Now you can see that it inserted right where my cursor was. So maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe we want to do that at the top here. I can go introduce that. And once I have some of those changes made, this is where, if I go back to my Explorer, down below, we have some Power Pages actions. So the traditional VS Code experience, you're going to get your Explorer, your outline, your timeline, but this actually loaded with specific Power Pages actions. And if I wanted to, load this back up, I can preview the site in line. So if I wanted to take a look at what that chart looked like, obviously we don't have the GUID stubbed in just yet, but I can make those changes, updates. I'll kill this. But I can crack open VS Code Desktop. So this is going to give you a pretty great experience when it comes to learning, when it comes to leveraging the Power Pages Copilot experience directly. But if I wanted to go back into my Explorer, here is Open in VS Code Desktop. So I'll click that. It'll go and open that up, but shocker, I've already got this up. We don't have to belabor anything there it was trying to open. So this is the exact same website. Now, I've got that loaded, the website loaded up already. Now I can, below the Explorer, you'll see the Power Pages actions. So I've got these authorization profiles. I'm logged into my demo tenant. I'm logged into a couple of different tenants. So I have those auth profiles. So this is these are all of the pages in my tenant, in my developer environment. That's where I'm living here. So I can see my active sites. Here's my Contoso, or my employee onboarding portal that we were just working with. Now here's the same page. This is a prompt that I'll use. On the right-hand side, you've got your text editor in the middle, you've got your Explorer and your plugins and your tools on the left-hand side. On the right, this is where I'm using GitHub Copilot. So I am right now using Claude Opus 4.7. I've got a couple of other models in the mix. We can fire up additional agents, models to leverage. I'm running with 4.7, and that's what we'll use. So if you add Power Pages, this is that helper, and this is going to help you write HTML, CSS, work with the web design, the front-end web design as needed. So if I punch in a prompt such as, and I'll throw this into full screen mode so we can just kind of see how this works. Create a custom bar chart. That's what we were just talking about. On the accounts view that I'll define later. So I'll stub in a GUID and I'll a query, and I'll work with wiring up the data, make it gradient yellow, orange, and interactive such that I can hover over for more info, drill into discrete records, and it can be used in various pages. So something like this can be portable. I'm going to go ahead and do that. The nice thing about working with VS Code, or I guess IDEs in general, is you can have almost a code with experience here. So it's calling the Power Pages Copilot helper. It is doing its thing. I actually have the Design Studio loaded up right in VS Code. So if I wanted to see those updates in real time, or while that agent is going and executing some of those customizations and going through these vibe coding motions, I can go hit my security. Maybe I want to take, I remember when I crossed my fingers earlier, it's going to take my prompt, go to action, go do its thing, and here's where I can actually start to work with my web roles. If I go into my table permissions, I can start to say, account, top level. We'll select our table. We'll start to give some access, and this is writing code. So let's just do this. We'll create a custom bar chart, and that will go and do its thing while I then start to right size some of my security roles. So here we have, the privileges that people are going to get. I'm configuring in the traditional no or low code sense here. I am adding it to the various web roles that people will use. I'll go ahead and save this. I can work with child permissions. I can then maybe go set up some intelligence. So while my intelligence is doing my work for me on the right-hand side, and I'll pop this rail out so you can see some of the planning here. This is using GitHub Copilot while we're doing this. I can configure the portal. I can still use the best of both while we're throwing some code together and compiling, while we're setting permissions and getting into security. Maybe we want to jump in and set up some AI assisted search and intelligence, or some agents on our website. This is where we get to be that much more productive and impactful with the projects that we're working on, because we have an agent that's working with us. So it's going and creating that file, it's doing its thing. And once we have once we have something set here, this is where we can see it in action. It'll take just a little bit. We'll keep the files, created reusable, there it is, created that web template, accounts bar chart, drop it into any page or template. What does it do? And then that gives you an explainer. So if I, before it'll render on the deployed site, make sure that you're taking care of the site settings, grant table permissions, which is what we were just working on, and finalize the Dataverse view. So let's do this, take that code, and we'll instruct it. So it's telling us to be mindful of certain things, but what I'm going to do is say, hey, take that code that you just suggested and update subpage 2 with it. So you can see in our sitemap here, we've got subpage 1 and 2, again, just placeholders, but this is where I can use the power of the prompts to go through and have it configure and code for us. So it will inject this into subpage 2 and do its thing. I'm going to actually stop this just for the sake of time, because what I wanted to show you is the continuation of our enterprise story with Northwind. So Gina had, I'll open a file here and go down into that dashboard. Gina had rendered a dashboard. And this is the code. This is that HTML code under the hood. So you can see that in my chat session, that dashboard is now available for me to employ as context. So I can click the little plus sign. I can include additional context too if I wanted to go open any other projects, files, folders, but I'm just using the dashboard that Gina had provided us. And this is where I can drop in, you know what, completely rewrite all the front end for the home page to create a modern, darker mode, gradient background. There are a lot of requirements here, making sure it's compatible, ensure that there's accessibility optimization in the render, and the margins on the sides are pretty optimal. So I'm going to feed it that, and in a little bit, it'll take not too long. We should have a home screen, and we can validate this, again, visually with the designer that we've loaded up on the screen here. We should have a home page that renders very nicely and looks a lot like Gina's. So while this is doing its thing, I'm going to go back to the deck here and just make sure that we're, there's an understanding here that we have not just the graphical configuration, not just the infrastructure for hosting the website, not just the security controls and built on that secure foundation, but we also have for the makers and the developers a single place to be able to tackle from both ends of that tunnel. So graphical drag and drop, seeing the low code experience, jumping into Visual Studio Code, and being able to get into the actual the guts of some of those pages. So I'll go back into VS. You can see as it's going through its process, it's planning, it's blocking and tackling. So for the sake of time, I know we've got just 5 minutes left here. We'll take a look at what it has whipped up for us here in just a minute before we break. But did want to call out some resources in realizing we've got just a few minutes to close here. We do have M365 Copilot resources, so if you want to learn about what's latest, greatest with Copilot, with Cowork, everything that Gina stepped through, we've got some goodies for you in a leave behind. When it comes to Power Apps, what Andrew stepped through, we do have the blog, product documentation, community page, and a number of other resources. When it comes to Power Pages, what we just took a look at, we've got some case studies. We have Dataverse, Power Pages, what to think about when you're working in both the data chassis, the back end, as well as the front end. Center of Excellence resources, whether that's boilerplate, automation, Copilot Studio Kit, you name it, and a few other things.
Yeah, Adam, I thought while we're waiting here a little bit too, I just highlight what I put in the chat. So, Adam's working in Visual Studio Code, and I touched on those those new types of Power Apps called Code Apps. You can also build those Code Apps from this IDE as well, right inside of Visual Studio. To date, you either choose building those in vibe.powerapps or you choose building them here. But everything I've heard from our engineering team and kind of where this story is going is they're hoping to make those portable between these two builds. So in the future, right, I could start in the Vibe app experience and then pass it to Adam to say, hey, I need this technical piece of a Power App. He could open it here just like he's doing the Power Page as well. and work on that technically without him having to leave what he's comfortable in working in. So just wanted to call that out.
Perfect. Thanks, Andrew. And we'd love any questions. I haven't seen anything pop up just yet, but as this thing is putting a bow on the runtime and the project that it's working on, feel free to come off mute or drop anything in the chat. There's all the anticipation, like this is the moment, and
Oh, this is good stuff. Thanks, Adam and Andrew and Gina. Yeah, if anybody's got any questions, feel free to come off mute. This has been a great technology to play around with. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to play with it, but on my side of the house, I'm starting to go deep with it as well, and it's blowing my mind. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it looks like we had a question there around versioning control. Right now, I will tell you the vibe.powerapps is in preview, so there are some things still being worked out from, the ALM process, making it solution aware. A lot of that's in place. From a version point, you're really just getting in there and iterating right now. I'm sure some of that is still to come. Like I said, still in preview, but we love that feedback. Keep it coming. We're happy to pass that along to our product groups.
And I have to say that Adam has the toughest job, obviously, more from the developer end. So as the business partner, just being able to use CoWork and Copilot to come up with the business requirements document, that saved me a lot of time from a business. So from an ROI, return on investment side, the weeks and months that would have taken to do the business requirements documents and going through all that is drastically reduced. And as you could see what both Andrew and Adam produced. Oh my gosh, here we go. Huzzah.
There it is.
Yes.
And we made it before the top of the hour, so it wasn't just Tabor, team. We're good.
Look at that, with 2 minutes to spare.
Yeah,
dude.
way to bring it to a close.
Bow on top. There we go. So if you didn't catch it at the very end there, I simply right-clicked in VS Code. You've got your Power Pages actions in the bottom left. The website I'm working with, I right-click, and then you have to make sure to upload back to your site because you're working locally with these files. So sorry to break up the rhythm here, team. I just there's a prove it moment here, and we proved it. So there's some good stuff here.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, Adam, Andrew, Gina, thanks again. This has been great. I know I learned a lot, and I'm certainly learning a lot listening to some examples where this is being used inside of HLS. So I appreciate your time and joining the conversation today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep, thanks everybody. Thanks for your time.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Inside action, innovate. The Master Series elevate.